In this segment, we're going to discuss, do women believe they can change men in relationships? What's up, Brave Arts community? This is Sean Heineman here with another segment of It's Scary to Remarry, wanting you to love fearlessly. And you are in for a treat today. This topic is amazing, let alone who I'm bringing on to the show as well, because, I only bring the best. So let's talk about our guest. She is a mom of four. She resides in Atlanta, and she is the host of Moms and Martinis, created by moms for moms, or anyone who has had a mom, where tough conversations and vulnerability are prioritized. She is a lover of nature. She's a lover of brown liquor and a cigar connoisseur. And in August, she was featured in Shoutout Atlanta. Brave Hearts community, let's show some love to Kira Isom. How are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic, fabulous, and 40. So, what better combination do you have?
Listen, 40s is where it's at. Tell these young bucks.
Yes, this is where you begin to live and thrive and just be your best self. So enjoying it. So amazing day here in the A.
Yes, for sure. Representing the A. Let's jump into this topic because I was listening to your podcast, and of course you have so many phenomenal topics. And I heard you kind of talk something about this process about changing men, or I can't remember which episode it was, but I think it was one of your latest ones where you talked about the baggage with, I forgot her name. I can't remember her name, but it was a great episode. So I said, we need to tackle this. But first of all, let's talk about, you said your dad is a pastor, and how was life like growing up as a preacher's kid? And how did that affect you today?
Yes, absolutely. So the episode you were referring to is The Invisible Suitcase with Tiana Renee. Yes. She's host of Cope for the Culture podcast, but she's also a child trauma psychologist. So just tying everything together, which loops well into your question. So yes, my father is a Methodist reverend. My parents, I grew up primarily with my mom here in Atlanta, when my mom heavily in church, okay? Missionary evangelist, like not just church on the outside, but church on the inside. So heavily, overly religious household. After my mom passed, I moved with my father, who was, again, the Methodist reverend. So I have a very finicky relationship with church, just because I understand not only the optics, I understand the biblical principles of it, but I also understand the business and the politics of church. So it's been interesting to see my dad as he matures and get older. Now he's reaching into his 70s and he's like cursing and doing these things. I'm just like, who are you? Like, who are you? I don't know you guys. But it was interesting. I think growing up as a preacher's kid, it taught me how to put on appearances. It taught me how to conform and how to show up. And that kind of translated through a lot of things. It translated professionally for me. It began to translate in my relationships. And also it impacted the way that I communicated, because for so long, I just never shared what I was going through, because there was a certain look, a certain way of being that we had to conform to, just by the pressure of being in that role as the preacher's child.
That is good. You said the way to show up, the way you can easily kind of like mask. Yes, that is so good, because Lord knows I've struggled with that for years, because I was a good old church boy. I was doing churches, and I'm not trying to get myself kudos or anything, but I've been a part of 2 mega churches, help building that. And I know what it takes. If I want to start a church, I know what it takes. So I get it, but I've struggled with that for years. Even like my first marriage, I went through that whole thing, and just kind of, you fighting in the car, and then you show up at the church and praise the Lord.
That's it. That's what my mom used to always say. You put on your lipsticks and earrings, and That's what it is. You get out and you smile and you don't look like what you're going through. That was it. Lipstick, earrings, smile. Wow. And that was the routine. So I was kind of groomed for that. And then going into corporate America, it's very, hello, how are you? Regardless of what it is you have going on. So I just learned to turn it on and off.
I love that. That's some good stuff. Yeah, there's so many places I would like to go with that, but for the sake of time, because that's a message within itself. But maybe we need to redo this again, do another show or something, because that's 40 minutes by itself.
You got me.
All right, that's what's up. Y'all heard her Braveheart, so I'm gonna make sure I bring Kira back on so we could discuss this thing and mask and all this other stuff. You've been through a divorce and domestic violence. You talked about that on your podcast before. It's very real out here, and I'm sure there's somebody who's still going through those things. Can you talk a little more about that and whatever you feel that you're comfortable with, and how did you recover from that?
Yeah, so absolutely. So as I mentioned, my parents, they were divorced. My mom never remarried in hopes of my father coming back, who had moved on with his life. So I never really saw any violence or any type of, I guess, dynamics of relationship. Then I moved with my father and my stepmom, who are together today. They've been married and together over 30 years. However, my stepmom is a very passive, agreeable type of spirit, so I never really saw any conflict. To this day, I've never seen them have a disagreement. I'm sure they've had discussions and dialogue, but I've never seen it. So when I met my oldest daughter father, that dynamics of being in this, what I now know to be domestic violence relationship, I don't know where I kind of picked that up. It's nothing that I ever saw. It was just what he was able to provide for me was a void, this covering of sort that I was accustomed to. So going back to your first question, just really being able to automatically submit to the idea of what authority looks like. So I just kind of fell in place without questioning things. But he was abusive in every type of way. We finally broke up. Then I got with another guy who actually put a gun to my head. At this time, I was living in DC, and that prompted me to flee and come back to Atlanta, which I shortly met my husband. We get married. Initially, the dynamics of the relationship there was really good because I went back to what I knew. So I went back to this being this very overly churchy person. So that's the girl that he married. But soon after that, once I got a little bit comfortable, I went back to what I knew, which changed the dynamics of our marriage because he married one person and was seeing another. So we began to argue. We were volatile, verbally abusive. I mean, at one point, he even pulled a weapon on me. And I was like, well, what is wrong with me that this continues to happen? And then we divorced. And the main reason for me divorcing is because that type of, I guess, for lack of a better term, hatred that we were demonstrating began to spill over more visibly to our children. So I'm like, you know what? I've had enough of this. And my divorce was the first time that I had ever, well, we initially separated for 2 years before the divorce was final, but that was the first time that I ever sought to understand myself. I started dating this guy who yesterday I was on a similar call, and the young lady referred to it as being a palate cleanser, right? Somebody that you get in a relationship with that kind of acts as a filter per se, that this person isn't necessarily who you are going to be with, but they're better than anything you've ever had. So in this relationship with this palate cleanser, who to this day has still been my best relationship, but I know not one that I was going to be in forever, he really encouraged me to heal. He encouraged me to find out who I was and explore. And because I had this support from a partner, I began to question everything about myself, why I responded the way I did. This was the first time I ever began to think for myself. And I was 30 years old, learning to think for myself. This was the first time that someone asked me, if I had an opinion on it, and then really wanted to know why. And I didn't know why I had these views. So I really began to helped me dive deeper into who I was and what it is that I stood for, and begin to share a lot of the ideas that were fed and passed down to me. Hence the birth of me healing from the domestic violence. And that's when when I started to go through things with my daughter, begin to learn how not to suffer in silence. That was the first time I even went to the church, like called a meeting with everyone and say, look, this is what's going on. And everyone was so flabbergasted, like, what is happening? Because again, that cloak that I learned to put on. So a lot of times people were they didn't even know how to take it, but it was okay. And that's at that moment, that's when I learned my healing is for me. It has nothing to do with how you respond to it. I'm just letting you know this is what's happening and it's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that just started the journey, and I've been on this journey ever since.
Love that. My God. Thank you so much for your testimony. Yes, again, I appreciate your testimony, because there's so many women and even men, some men that struggle with that. And I'm glad that you were able to get to a place where you could speak up for yourself, because there's so many people that suffer in silence. And even just for a transparent moment from me and my ex-wife, that I didn't do anything abusive to her, but it was one of those things where I won't say she, but a situation arose where I was just felt like I was out of control, and like I like hit a wall, like, oh my God. And I'm like, okay, this can't be good. Like I don't like reaching that point. So it's one of those things where if you can't get your emotions under control and stuff like that, or people that's really triggering, it's just best to leave, because it seems like sometimes when people can pull that trigger, they just know when to get you to that point, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true. I think for me, a huge part of my healing from domestic violence was learning to put language to how I was feeling. That's something that was never taught to me. So again, I had this mom that was heavily into the church. We never had these discussions about the dynamics of relationships and healthy conflict resolution, what to do. Because I grew up in the Southern household. It's do as I say, it's no talking back. So I never learned how to communicate anything. When I moved with my dad, the image I was seeing, again, my stepmom, love her to pieces, but she's very agreeable. So I never saw any type of discourse. So as I began to heal and learn how to heal, like I said, not having a handle of my emotion, I began to learn how to say what I meant. So that's when it's like, say what you mean. I mean what you say, just don't say it mean. So it took me a long time to get past just surface level emotions, so that when things are happening, instead of me saying I was really hurt, it's more so I was embarrassed because when you did, and that's still taking me time now today, that sometimes I have to sit in it. And because I was not taught that, I teach that to my children. So there's this emotional wheel. I don't know like the real technical name, but I'm sure it's a name
I
where
seen
you
it.
can go. Yeah, and I do that with my kids, especially with my son, because he's always either mad or angry. Like he has these like 3 or 4 like go-to emotions. So when he's telling me those things, I always pull it up and say, no, okay, outside of you being mad, what else? Were you disappointed? Were you hurt? Just to really try to dig deep, so that it's not to a point where you're just boiling up so much that you want to be hurt. You just don't know how. So your thing to do is like punch this wall. Like,
Yeah.
can I curse?
Yeah,
Damn
you good.
it.
Yeah, say what you need to say. It's all good. Say what you got to
Like,
say.
damn it, hear me, see me, listen to me. That's what it typically is. Like, damn, like, why are you not getting this? So that's just an outlet, because that's all that I know. And people don't understand how much that emotion like impacts your physical. That's how sometimes people get so sick. So it's just like the overwhelming feeling, it just burst out. And the best thing to do is like, I know better to hit her. So boom, hit the wall, because I just need it out. I want this to be over. I want it to be resolved. And I don't understand why we are not getting there. So I get it. I overstand, as they say.
Yeah, I
I
understand.
overstand.
Yeah, I love that. Can we park right here for a second? Because the other day, and I'm all about transparency, the other day I was telling my wife how I used to struggle with being a nice guy, if you will. and kind of put my feelings on reserve. And that was a lot of that came from me, but I got that growing up as a kid where I wasn't allowed to express myself, that whatever my mom said was final. And I couldn't say anything because if I say anything, I got a backhand to the mouth, right? My mother didn't have time. She's like, I got to work and raise these kids. Your dad is in and out, that whole thing. And that stifled my growth. And shout out to mom, love you. You did what you can. I ain't mad at you. It's all good. But that stifled me into adulthood and not asking for what I want or describing what I was feeling in detail. So I still struggle with that a little bit to this day. And it's one of those things where I was emotionally underdeveloped. And I couldn't get my point across. So it was almost unfair to whoever I was with because I couldn't express myself where we could meet eye to eye. And now I do that with my wife, where I don't just say I'm mad. I say I feel abandoned or I felt shamed. And see, when you start digging a little deeper, I do think you can start to connect with people opposed to just saying I was pissed off. It's like,
someone who's emotionally mature enough and who is also doing the work. Because when you have those type of conversations with individuals that are not as vested or who has never done that type of work, it's a foreign concept. So you still find yourself, my dad called it like a duck that you see on the water. They look very graceful, but underneath they're like paddling like hell.
Yep.
So that's where you still find yourself, like you look graceful, you look put together, but you're trying so hard to connect with someone that's not doing their own work. So when you think about relationships and dating and marriage, like it has to be two individuals on their own individual journey. So when you are having those conversations, even if she disagrees or may not understand where you're coming from, she can relate to the work. You know what I mean? And you allow grace for the work because I know what it feels like to be there. So I'm not going to dismiss or, undermine what it is you're trying to do, even if I'm not in agreement with it. Like, you got to be grown. Okay. We talked about this. Okay?
Everybody want to be grown until it's time to do the work, right?
Until it's time to communicate. Then, it's different, but hey, I ain't want to gossip. So yeah.
Yeah, I love this, Kira, because I had to do the work. I had to, I have a different therapist now, but I was rocking with the same therapist I had for over 2 years. And it was just some stuff I had to unpack. And I was like, oh, now I realize why I was trash in my first marriage, because I really couldn't put the words together or things of that nature. Like I would be stonewalling and just shut down. And like that wasn't fair. But now I'm at a place where, 40 and over, I'm at a place where I can convey with my wife. And I think it's important to have someone just as emotionally intelligent as well, who can receive, where they're not all over the place. Cause this is like, I'm trying to talk to you. This might be too much for you to handle. Some people they're not there emotionally, so.
Yeah.
But again, that can be another show.
Yeah, it could be. But any guys, if you watching, if you are emotionally intelligent enough, slide in my DMs. Hashtag Operation Stepdad. Okay, I'm sorry. I put it out there every show. Okay. And Moms and Martinis Pod on IG. Slide in my DM. We can talk through some stuff. Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
And do you have a t-shirt for that? What is the hashtag Operation Stepdad?
Yes, now accepting applications. Yes. Yes, I do on-the-job training. I mean, we do apprenticeships, contracts. I mean, whatever the job opening is available. Just meet the prerequisites. Okay.
I know that's right. You got to put it out there. We got to speak it in existence, right?
There you go, speaking it.
Speaking of, so let's talk about today's topic, because I love talking about a bunch of stuff, especially the emotional intelligence. I love that. But what makes a woman think she can change a man, and can she? And where does that mindset comes from?
What makes a woman think she can change a man? Stupidity. Where did that mindset come from? Probably it's been passed down to us. I'd rather have a piece of man than no man at all. All of these false notions. I don't believe that any person can change another. I think you can inspire someone. I believe you can cultivate a space that promotes healing. I believe that you can make it safe for a person to want to do better and encourage them to do it, but it's on a person's own term. I don't think I can change any man. I used to, and I promise you, I was in this relationship once, and this is the lie I told myself. I said all the time, I was like, this is how you build a man. This is how you do it, and I had these fantasies in my mind that we were going to go back and tell people our testimony of how he was this way and how I remained consistent and faithful and patient with him. And I loved him to better health. It's all bullshit.
Come on now.
Okay. You can't do that. I do believe, like I was mentioning, that you can be with someone and create a space where they are committed to evolving, right? So they're committed to whatever it is that you all have agreed on. And because of that, that's what's going to keep them going to be better, right? When you have someone that truly loves you and understands all these dynamics and what it is that you're trying to build, that they are going to remain faithful to that. In that, they become better. But then that goes back to them doing their individual journey. It's still not on my skill set. And something that I learned, or on my timeline rather, and something that I learned is that when you have someone and you're promoting them to be their best selves, sometimes they have to be their best selves and it don't include you. And that's the part that people are not ready for. Ooh. Right?
Can you expound on that, please? Because that's where, can you please talk about that a little more?
Yeah. So just like my palate cleanser I told you about, and again, I was on a call last night. Why did I get married with Steph, the life architect? And they talked about,
that's my girl.
Yes, Steph is amazing.
Shout out to Steph.
And Cynthia Branch was on there. She's a therapist, but she talked about how men marry like for the woman right now versus a women will marry for what they see this person to be, right? So you already have two different lenses and filters that you're looking at things. So I'm with somebody, I can see, Sean, you're gonna be blah, like, but Sean started going to therapy, doing his own work, and realize that there's something greater or more, whatever. However, what I'm evolving to and looking at, they're not matching. Right? So because you married for the now, and I married for what I wanted you to be, or not even married, I got in a relationship for what I wanted you to be. You got in a relationship with me because of what you saw it to be now. But now as things begin to grow, you begin to heal, sometimes people get together, it be the trauma bond that put them together.
Yes.
So if you're wanting me to be my best self and really go and grow and evolve, it really don't involve you because you're trying to box me in to be this certain place. Or like I tell people all the time, I'm not responsible for the version of me that you have in your head.
Come on now.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who she is, but that ain't me. So when you're with somebody, it's like, you know what? I love you enough, even with my palate cleanser, he is who he is. I still talk to him today. Like, that's him. 100%. He was good for me then. He's not good for me now. The woman who he loved me to grow and evolve to be. So the woman that I am now, the capacity that I am, if I were to meet him where he's at today, I would never even consider him.
Yeah.
But we understand that we were good for each other in that moment. And we always say, I restore his hope in women, and he restored my hope in love. We serve the purpose, and that's it. It's like, okay, it's time to move on.
I love that. Wow, that's good. Yeah, because when we do marry, we talk about till death do us part and all these other things. But as soon as a person make a shift or a change, like what TD Jake said, he talked about how when you riding on a motorcycle, if you got somebody on the back, they got to make that turn with you. Or you can easily lose that person in the turn. And I think I'm almost sure I've been through that in my first marriage, making that turn, and they weren't willing to turn with me. So I do think it's important to have those personal checkups, like, hey, babe, where you at right now? Because they're not the same person they were 3 weeks ago. You know, their favorite food, they used to love Indian food. Now they love Chinese food. I don't know.
Right.
I thought that was your spot.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So,
people get so shocked that people change. I'm like, no. I had an ex to tell me that, like, you changed. I'm like, I'm older, I'm fatter, and wiser. Like, what's new? You know, like, what were you expecting? I don't know, but I'm not there. And I used to be so offended when people like, you've changed. I'm like, no, I'm not. And I think it was last year that people like, I don't know, you've changed. And I'm like, thank you.
yeah.
I've been working on it.
Yeah.
You. I'm glad you noticed. I'm trying over here. So that's actually a good thing.
Yes, it is. Yeah, you changed. That's right. I did change for the better.
Yeah, thank you.
And hopefully you changed.
I hope so.
There was a quote that John Maxwell said. He said, every day you're either preparing or repairing. And, you know, and he was like, either you repairing the things that you messed up with 5 years ago or 3 months ago about that bad decision, or you just preparing. You're in a good place in your life and you're preparing for the future, you know. So I always just use that as a gauge. Am I preparing or am I repairing?
That's good. Ooh, my wheels turning. Good look. Write that down.
Yeah, that's
good stuff. Has the collection plate. Okay, that's good. Okay.
Cash App last name is Heineman. Cash App. So anybody want to make a generous donation? We were on a wine tour yesterday, Kira. We're kicking it now, but we was on a wine tour yesterday, and I'm talking with my wife and some other friends or whatever. And I was just talking real stuff, you know. And my friend, his wife, she said, we're gonna pass the offering plate. And why was people giving me money yesterday? Kid you not. They was
giving
me,
thank you.
You know, and I'd have given it to the driver who was driving us during the wine tour. But I was like, oh, they making it rain on your boy. That's what's up.
That's when you know you're preaching good. You're talking good now, boy. You're talking good now.
I know, right? Oh my God. Have you ever tried to change a man? And what was that experience like?
I did try to change the man. So that ex I was telling you about, it, every time I would do something, I'm like, oh, this is how you build a man. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
In full transparency, I guess I was on the prison ministry that year because he was straight off house arrest. Yes, your girl. I think back like, girl, you must have been at an all-time low. No shade to nobody that's been in prison or anything, but it was clear. Okay, it was clear that I should not have been with this man. And I remember even setting up this couples therapy, and after, because he stormed off and left, it was a mess. The lady looked at me and she was like, girl, he was supposed to, this is the therapist. She was like, that is not your man. He was supposed to be a little something you had on the side and kept it moving. I was like, ma'am, you don't know me. Like, she was like, clearly, I don't know. Like, she was like, you have some work to do yourself. Wow. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, she don't know what she's talking about. So I don't know, because at that point I was coming off of being 2 years single, and I had to really go back and question. I thought I had healed, but the first manifestation, because I used to always say he was my ex-husband, just light skinned and shorter. You know what I mean? So I'm like, why did you choose him again? You know,
so you have a type.
I don't have a type in terms of physical. Okay. I think there is something that I'm learning, something that I need to work through. So I'm gonna talk to my therapist about that. I tend to attract these men that are projects, and somehow I feel validated and assured and affirmed in me being able to show them more. And I have a gift that I'm learning that if not used right, it can be manipulation. You know, so because I have a gift of making people feel safe, so they feel very vulnerable with me. Right? Just strangers, people I know, just I am the gatekeeper of secrets. And I think because I do my own work, the advice and things that I give people, people feel very good with me. And this is not like, I don't know if it's good or bad, but almost every man that I've dated has cried. Like, and one, men and crying, you don't get that a lot. But I'm talking about boohoo in my lap. Like, it is something me, a little bit of narcissist. Yes, yes. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Oh, yes. This is why we should be together. You feel safe with me. Girl, you got issues. And then when they can't, when they're not, when the tables turn, it's like, I need you to now humanize me, that I'm not going to be in this space of the strong all the time. And I'm finding that if I'm constantly putting myself in that position, right, and attracting these type of men, regardless of how they look, and again, these type of men, then when I need to be vulnerable and need to lean and thrive on them, I can't. So
I love that.
Yeah, I'm just telling my truth. Like, maybe somebody else got it together. That's a realization that I'm learning to lean more into. I think the light bulb went off, I guess like a year or two ago. And so now my dating is so like, as soon as I see it, I'm like, you know what, it's been good, but
yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
I just cut them off so fast. And I'm like, girl, you can't keep doing that. So I need to change my approach because I'm attracting them. And as soon as I guess I'm creating this space for them to get like that. And as soon as I see it, I'm like, I gotta go. I'm like, so I have to change, so I'm not getting in relationships with them no more, but I'm still, somehow it's still coming up. So I made progress.
Amen.
Now I'm like, ooh, I don't think this is going anywhere. Let's go to brunch. We need to talk. We need to
talk. So do you find dating easier for yourself then, now that you are aware? Is it something that you like, you know what, like you said, like, boom, okay, Kira, like, is it easier? Because I had Chase and Yancey on my show not too long ago, and we were kind of talking about that. Like, we think dating is probably a little easier, or at least it should be, because people come to the table, hey, this is what I want, be honest, take it or leave it. But do you think that dating is it easier for you now that you can spot them, or no, or is it something that you could still kind of struggle with?
It's a little bit of both, right? It's easier because I'm not falling into the traps, and I'm able to verbalize like, this isn't going to be, or, set very clear boundaries of things, which I find men, they say they want that. They not for real. The ones that I have encountered, I'm not making a generalization. Yes. The ones that I have encountered, because I'm very just like to the point. Hey, it's ABC. Are you okay with it? Yeah. And then as time go on, you're not okay. Remember, we talked about this, and you said that you were good, and now you're saying you're not. So, hey, let's go to brunch. We need to talk. So I don't know. A part of me was feeling like, what's wrong with you that you can just disconnect so easily? Like, I have no, even when I like them, and in my case, I be loving them. Okay, I be loving them. I have no problems with letting you go if you like, if it's to my detriment or yours. And sometimes I can see where I am being a distraction, or no, I see it. I know you want to continue with me. I get that. But no, like, this is not good. This is not going to end well. And I don't need to wait until next year for that to happen. So I'm okay with that.
Yes.
And after a while, I was like, hey, are you cold-hearted? But no, I'm healed. No, don't want to do that. Bye. But it's disheartening at the same time, and very discouraging, because it's like, well, damn, I know good men, and I meet a lot of good men. I do. I'm not out here saying, but it's a numbers game. I had to meet 12. Like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Before I meet a nice, like, a good man. Like everybody got their shit, but like I meet good men, attractive men, got their stuff together, but it's just like we're not compatible. Like it's just, especially they say anything about a baby. Check. I got this one. You want to take your food home? Get them an extra lamb chop, because baby, I'm out. I pay for this one. But so then I'm like, dang. So then I gotta go through 12 more, get another good one. So it's like I gotta talk to 60 people to even get to 4 good guys that I may even be able to get there. So after a while, I be tired. I'd rather stay at home.
Yeah. No, I hear you. That's good, because when I hear you talking, I was hearing that you can be a good man, but it's not Kira's man.
Right.
And I love that, because I think sometimes, this is just from me from the outside looking in, I would see women that's like, he's a good man, but he's not my man. But just because he's a quote unquote good man, I'm just willing to take him.
Mm-hmm.
But they might not fit you.
And that's when we talked about why women think they can change a man. Stupidity. Because you're like, well, damn, I done dated or been in talks with 30 different guys. This is the second one. I don't know when the next one gonna come. So let me go ahead and try to do it. Then you're trying to fit them into this idea of what it is that you think that you want, and or trying to fit them into what it is that you need. And sometimes even with myself, because I've done it before, it's just like, well, damn, how much, like, do I want to continue to live like this? And I'm like, I guess I'm gonna take them. And then I have to ask myself, like people say what your non-negotiables are. Yeah. And I've learned to move on to, okay, I have my non-negotiable, but what are my bare minimums? Like, what's the minimums? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, all the non-negotiables, cool, it's not there, but damn, this ain't even the minimum of what I want. Like, you good, but Yeah. It's like if you put it in the analogy of like a car, if I know that I want a Mercedes with leather seats, sunroof, all these other things, like I know, like I've worked hard, I built my credits, I have my down payment, whatever it is, to have all of these things. I may get another Mercedes that may not have all of those things. I work with it. But you can't bring me a fully loaded Ford and say, well, take the Ford. I don't want the Ford.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with the Ford. I just don't want it, even though it's fully loaded with the leather seats and all of that other stuff. It's just not what I want. But sometimes people try to do that, and you can't take the Ford emblem off and put a Mercedes emblem on it and just make it a Mercedes. But that's what we try to do.
You preaching.
You know what I mean? So stupidity. Like, well, he got the looks, the degree, the whatever. But sis, that ain't what you want. Just go ahead. I ain't got to do the sunroof.
Yeah.
I take the little alloy wheels. That's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It ain't got to be the 2021. I do a 2017. It's still good. But it's what I want. So that's what it is.
No, I love that, because, and then you turn around and then people blast their dating experiences like he was trash, but you didn't have to settle. You didn't have to, but just because maybe you didn't want to be alone or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, men are this or women are that, and I'm like, nah.
You chose that.
Yeah, you chose that. Thank you. Yeah. And now with us talking about this, if women believe that they can change men, like, what do you think will be the most effective way? Not so much of changing, but I think what can you, what will be some tips that you can give to say, I can't change them, and I think we might have discussed this earlier. I think we might have talked about this earlier. Yeah.
I think it's more so of really creating a space that encourages him to be his best self.
Yeah.
That's it. Listen to him. And what I find with women, we listen for response or listen and create doubt where men shut down and they don't open up again.
Yep.
So listening and they feel comfortable just constantly opening up to you. I think with that, when you start to do that for a man, that protector that women always talk about, that's going to rise up even more, because now you're my safe space. You're my soft place to land. Yeah. So I want to go out here because damn, like, yeah, she holding me down, you know? And I don't think it's anything of doing that, but just be softer. And that's something I have to work on. I have very masculine energy. I am aware of that, you know? I get her done. Like, I don't mean, yeah. But I'm learning how to lead with femininity and be softer. And that doesn't necessarily have to come with me cooking and cleaning. It's just a certain type of essence and space that you create where that man wants to be his best self. And the more that he's a better self, he's going to be a better partner to you because he's whole, he's doing it. So you got to encourage that. You got to be patient with it. Women think we're going to talk Tuesday and by Thursday if he don't have his shit together.
Yeah.
Hey, shawty, it's been 3 years. You ain't got it. Like, calm down.
Oh my God. I love that about your feminine energy. I love that because I know as a man, I love it. You know, when you can just really be your true, authentic self, when you can be that safe space, you know, like the Alicia Keys song, she said, just look at me as the pages of your diary. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, man, that makes me love that much even more, that I can trust you and that I know you're not going to put me out there, you know, and you're not going to shut me down. And when you in that active listening, you know, and you in tune with me and you asking me questions. I remember before when my wife used to ask me questions, I thought she was interrogating me and it made me shut down. I was like, well, I'm sharing personal stuff with you, but damn, you asking too much.
She like, I'm trying to get to know you.
Exactly, right?
It actually matters to me.
Exactly, but that was my own, again, underdeveloped, you know, maturity. But I realized over time she just really was genuinely concerned, and that's when I was able to learn more about myself and even giving her the things that she need when it came to us conversing, so that way she can be fully in the loop as far as what's going on with me.
Good. Shout out to her for sticking it through. Okay. So it's things like that. Her ability to be patient with you, showing genuine interest. I think a lot of women just don't show genuine interest in men. It's more so, can you check these boxes? And if you cannot, can I change this up, put a new shirt on you, give you a new car, help you with your credit so you can fit the rest of these boxes? Yeah. Instead of just really investing in that man. And I'm sure about her doing that investment, it's nothing that you won't do for her. That's how you get the man to change. Love him. Like legit, unconditionally, authentically, genuinely, with compassion and empathy, love him. He'll do whatever you want him to do.
Come on now, Kira. You want him to do. We need to package this and sell it, because that's the answer right there. And here's the funny thing, and I know for me, every guy's different. It doesn't even have to do with anything with sex. It's just with you being your authentic self, being that space for me. You know, it just makes me that much more attracted to you. You know, it shows me your emotional maturity, where we can, because I know me, I'm big on having those conversations, those deep conversations that's gonna help us grow and mature. So that's the turn me on. But I know for some women it might be a little different. Like, girl, let me just put this thing on him real quick, and then it's like, nah, it's deeper than that. When the man, you know, when you have his heart, you know, because he gonna be committed.
I'm trying to tell you, you were like, hey, calm down. You got me. I ain't
going nowhere. Yeah, right.
They want to hold on to it because oftentimes, especially with Black men, it's probably the first time they've ever even experienced it. You know what I mean? So that's how you change them, just by loving them. And the only way for you to do that is for you to do your own work.
Yes.
Yes. You know what I mean? So I can only love you and understand you to my own capacity. So the deeper I get involved with myself, the more I get to heal from my own wounds, then I can invite you into those spaces and encourage you, because it's familiar to me and I know the type of protection you need. So That's all you can do. All the other stuff, it don't work. It's stupid. Trust me, I tried it. I tried it more than one time. Okay, it don't work. It
You
don't work.
dropping so many gems, my guy. Do you think that comes with age, or can you actually kind of can you help the younger women with this?
No, because I got some family members, I ain't gonna say who, that they older than me, and I'm like, you still stupid. Like, how? Don't tell me nothing. Like, let me tell you, no, don't. I passed.
Yeah.
I think it comes from, I don't know. I guess experiences in the wanting to do better and break the mold. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So for me, it's about this is how you break generational curses. And a lot of it goes back to me beginning to share. I didn't feel a lot of this stuff until I learned how to start thinking for myself. And I didn't learn how to start thinking for myself. I think I was like 34.
Okay.
I just always kind of went with, again, going back to growing up as a preacher's kid, like we learned to, this is what you're told, and you have to learn how to fit your life into that. And then when I began to think, and I'm like, well, why is blah, 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 blah? And why do you do that? Like, I became genuinely curious about myself. When I say I'm so self-aware, I know me. So sometimes people like, girl, I felt, and I'm like, nah, that's not me, that's your baggage. And then sometimes people tell me stuff, I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah, I was messy. You know what I mean? Like, I own my stuff because I've taken the time, like every single emotion that I have, I've taken the time to really stop and process like why I'm even feeling like this. Even when it's happy, sad, whatever, like just truly, truly dissect it. And that's a journey. So I think it comes with experience and wanting to be better.
Yeah. The self-awareness is everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a mirror that sometimes I'm not even ready for because I've been noticing things about me lately. I'm like, oof, So whenever I get to a new level, and it usually happens around this time of the year anyway, but there's some things that I've put on my list as priority that the universe has allowed me to see about myself that I don't like. So I'm going to be intentional about it and change it.
So much growth and maturity. I love that so much. And one of your podcasts, you said you don't look at potential, but ambition in a man. And when you said that, I was like, wait a minute, let me pause and write that down. And I was like, this will preach. So can you please break that down? Can you just
this potential, because you can see people, and this is what I say. I think people, but mainly women, begin to romanticize things. You meet a guy, and within your first conversation, you know what neighborhood y'all gonna live in, how many kids y'all gonna have, how long you're gonna be together, what your marriage gonna be. So you're romanticizing the idea that we're missing all this stuff. So you've created this picture, and then he may be doing certain things. You say, if we continue to work on that, going back trying to change him, we continue to work on that, then this is what he could be. You know what I mean? So an example would be, I dated this guy, owned his own business, but he was lazy. But how, when the second, like, oh, he's an entrepreneur, sound good, right?
Yeah.
He go out here, he's hiring people, he's doing all these things, but he would sleep till like 11, 12 o'clock. And I call him, it's 2 o'clock. I'm trying to wrap up to get off of work, and you just now getting started. But I'm thinking like, oh, you have multiple business, you're going to get trucks and da-da-da-da. That's that potential. Ambition, the guy may not necessarily have everything he needs, but you are seeing the practical, tangible steps every single day. That that resourcefulness, that dedication, that unconventional thinking, the ability to network, that can get you, those skills can get you through any and everything. Not someone that shows them a little bit of the time, but lack the drive and the grit to get there. So I'm looking at, how resourceful are you? Do you give up easily? Are you communicating? Do you believe in the value of network? Are you researching the things you need to? Because with those skills, That's how you make the power team right there, because it's things that I can contribute to that. And if we don't know, if you're a lifelong learner, I know we're going to figure it out. That's the ambition. Not like, man, Shoutout, it didn't even work out. So I think you're like, and here I go building the man. No, baby, you can do it. Yeah. When his ass ain't gonna get up until 11 o'clock again.
Come on now. First he wanted to be a music producer.
Yes. Yeah.
First he wanted to be a music producer. Yeah, and then now he wanted to be a basketball player. You like,
oh, honey,
37.
I was married to one, honey, that wanted a rap, then wanted a barbershop in a clothing store with a studio on the back. Yeah, I done did that. I done did it. That's what I'm telling you. Trust me, I did it. Had a bunch of babies with him. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
But he was fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I put that emblem on that forward. It was gonna work. It was gonna work.
Oh my God. So what you're saying is most of the time that women already have in their head what they want to do. They just gotta paste the man inside of the little silhouette.
That's it. Not all.
Yeah.
Look, before I get hate mail, that's what I did. Mm-hmm. And I know women that have, not everyone, but yeah, we romanticize what this is going to be, you know? And the person who's helped me most with that is my 16-year-old.
That's what's up.
Like, I guess I'm doing some parenting right. I guess I am, because the other day I was like, oh, I need a foot massage. And I was like, oh, I miss so-and-so. She was like, no, you don't. You said you didn't even like that man. You just like the fact that he can massage your feet. I was like,
out of the mouth of baby.
Well, she got me told. But that's what we do. Because it's something you can do. I guess I did with you. That's what happened.
Oh my God, Kira, this has been an amazing. You just dropped so many wisdom bombs, stuff that, man, we should just package this and sell it, because it's just that freaking good. It seemed like you just answered everything. I'm like, here's all the answers to the relationship issues right here. You know, we knocked this out in an hour.
Yeah, but you know, people thrive in toxic. They like it for some reason.
For some reason, Lord knows. Well, Kira, can you give everyone your contact information? Not like your social security number or anything, but your contact information and how they can get in touch with you, listen to the podcast, how they can be stepdaddy, all the other good stuff.
Oh yes, just the last for it. Okay, then. No, no. The easiest way to get in contact with everything is to go onto my website, www.momsandmartinis.net, and it links you to all my social sites. So Twitter, Facebook, Instagram is where I'm at. I'm available on all listening platforms. So Amazon, Spotify, Apple, you name it, I'm on there. So tell Alexa to play Moms and Martinis and you'll find me. And as Sean mentioned, and as I mentioned earlier, your girl is taking application for #Operation Stepdad. You know, so you don't have to be in the Atlanta area. You know, I got a passport and miles will travel. So slide in my DM.
Hey, I slid in my wife DM and we were living in 2 different states.
I'm trying to tell you. Yeah. So, hey, what's up?
So y'all brothers go ahead, quality men only. As you can see that Kira has done the work, only quality men. So don't be sending her crazy stuff.
Because I am the president of the block ministry. Amen.
Well, that has summed up this sermon. Brave Hearts community, please show Kira some love. Go and leave a rating and review on her podcast. Connect with her. Also, make sure that you stop by. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And if you're listening to this via podcast, you can leave me a rating and review as well. Keep it 100, whatever you want to give. I want your feedback. And don't forget to share this video with a friend. Share this with a girlfriend. Shoot, share this with your cousin. Share this with your grandma. Grandma probably still got issues. Grandma like 36 and she's still dating and stuff. So, but anyway, Brave Arts community, thanks again. Kira, thank you so much for giving us your time and your wisdom. So I appreciate all that you do. Continue to be a force out here helping folks. This is Sean Heineman here at It's Scary to Remarry, wanting you to love fearlessly. Take care, people.